안녕. Welcome back. We've covered a lot of content already in these past few lessons. So before we start today's lesson, I just wanted to give you a reminder not to rush. And also remember to take notes because each lesson will add new vocabulary and grammar forms, but I won't be re-explaining past lessons except when necessary. So the topic that I have today is a specific task that you might end up doing, and that is purchasing something a bit expensive, specifically buying a new computer. Now, in real life, nobody goes into a store and says, "Hello, give me one computer, please." There's a bit more to it. So in this lesson, we'll go over some natural expressions as well as questions that might come up in this sort of situation. First, let's listen to the conversation once, and then I'll go over it in detail and see what we can learn.
어서 오세요.
안녕하세요. 노트북 사려고 하는데요.
네, 노트북이요. 특별히 생각해둔 모델 있으세요?
생각해둔 모델은 없는데 들고 다니면서 쓸 거라서 가벼운 걸로 생각하고 있어요.
그러면 무게가 가장 중요한 건가요?
아니요, 무게도 중요한데 성능도 좋았으면 좋겠어요.
성능이면 주로 어떤 작업을 하시는데요?
특별히 작업하는 건 따로 없는데요. 컴퓨터가 너무 느린 건 싫어서요.
아, 그럼 이건 어떠세요? 작년에 나온 모델인데 무게도 가벼운 편이고 성능도 괜찮아요.
혹시 조금 더 가벼운 건 없을까요?
이건 그래픽카드는 없지만 훨씬 가벼운 제품이에요. 게임을 하기는 힘들겠지만 일반적인 문서 작성이나 영상을 시청하시기에는 무리가 없을 거예요.
진짜 가볍네요. 어차피 게임은 안 해서 그래픽카드는 없어도 괜찮을 것 같아요.
네, 휴대성을 생각하면 이게 가장 좋을 것 같아요. 그럼 이걸로 구매하시겠어요?
색상은 이거 하나인가요?
색상은 흰색, 검정색, 회색은 같은 가격이고요. 하늘색과 초록색은 가격이 살짝 높아요.
그럼 하늘색으로 지금 볼 수 있을까요?
네, 잠시만 기다려주세요.
네. 아, 혹시 마우스도 하늘색 있을까요?
하늘색 마우스도 있어요. 같이 준비해드릴게요.
네.
Okay, let's go over this conversation now, one line at a time, in order to understand everything that's going on.
어서 오세요.
Welcome! 어서 오세요 is used to welcome guests and comes from 어서, meaning quickly or promptly, and 오다, meaning to come, and literally means come here quickly. You might also find it as 어서 와요 with acquaintances and friends.
안녕하세요. 노트북 사려고 하는데요.
Hello, I'm trying to buy a laptop. 사려고 하는데요 comes from the 으려고 form, which shows that someone is trying to do something or intending to do something. A more natural translation could be, I'd like to buy a laptop. Ending the sentence with the theo form sets up the stage or background for what the customer is about to say. Like saying, so I'd like to buy a laptop.
네, 노트북이요. 특별히 생각해둔 모델 있으세요?
Okay, a laptop? Is there a model in particular that you have in mind? 생각해둔 모델 comes from 생각하다, meaning to think, and the 두다 form, which is used after a conjugated action verb to mean to finish in advance and leave long term. 생각해두다 therefore literally means to think about it and let the thought sit for a while. Here, more naturally, it means to have in mind. Note that 있으세요 uses 있다 with the honorific ending 으시다. When referring to a person, 있으시다 should not be used. Instead, use the honorific verb 계시다. However, for things that are a part of someone who you would use honorifics toward, such as a customer's new laptop, someone's belongings, etc., use 있으시다 and not 계시다. The verb 있으시다 is commonly used in business language to show extra respect, even toward things that normally you would not use honorifics to talk about.
생각해둔 모델은 없는데 들고 다니면서 쓸 거라서 가벼운 걸로 생각하고 있어요.
There isn't a model that I have in mind, but because I'm going to use it while carrying it around, I'm thinking of a light one. 쓸 거라서 is shortened from 쓸 것이라서, which comes from the verb 쓰다, here meaning to use, and the future tense form 것이다, together with the 서 form meaning because. 이다 can conjugate as 이라서 with the 서 form. Here, since 거 ends with a vowel, it becomes 거라서. 걸로 is shortened from 것으로 and is used commonly in speech. 으로 is commonly used with verbs that mean deciding on something or choosing something and is used after nouns. Here, 가벼운 것, something lightweight. Therefore, 가벼운 걸로 생각하고 있어요 can translate as I'm thinking of deciding on a lightweight one. Or more naturally, I'm thinking of getting a light one.
그러면 무게가 가장 중요한 건가요?
Then is weight the most important thing? 건가요 comes from 것, meaning thing, and 이다, meaning to be, with the 나요 or 가요 ending. Because 이다 is a descriptive verb, it becomes 인가요.
아니요, 무게도 중요한데 성능도 좋았으면 좋겠어요.
No, weight is important, but I want it to also have good performance. Remember that the 으면 좋겠다 form literally means it would be good if, but can more naturally translate as hope or wish. Here, the customer is saying that they hope it also has good performance, or even more naturally that they want it to.
성능이면 주로 어떤 작업을 하시는데요?
For performance, mostly what kind of work do you do? Remember that the 으면 form, meaning if or when, can also translate naturally as if you're talking about or just for.
특별히 작업하는 건 따로 없는데요. 컴퓨터가 너무 느린 건 싫어서요.
There isn't specifically something I work on in particular, but it's because I don't want the computer to be too slow. Note that 싫다, meaning to dislike, is a descriptive verb and is not used with the object marker. Literally, this means I dislike the computer being too slow, but more naturally can be I don't want.
아, 그럼 이건 어떠세요? 작년에 나온 모델인데 무게도 가벼운 편이고 성능도 괜찮아요.
Ah, then how is this one? It's a model that came out last year, but its weight is also fairly light, and the performance is also okay. 어떠세요 comes from 어떻다, meaning to be how, and the honorific ending 으시다. It's the honorific version of asking someone 어때요. The form 편이다 comes from 편, meaning side, and 이다, meaning to be, and can be used after a descriptive verb conjugated to an adjective to say that something is literally on the descriptive verb side. For example, 작다, meaning to be small, becomes 작은 편이다, meaning to be on the small side. This can also translate as to be fairly, to be somewhat, or just to be kind of. Alternatively, with action verbs, this form can mean that someone tends to do something and is used after an action verb conjugated to an adjective using 는. For example, 하다 becomes 하는 편이다.
혹시 조금 더 가벼운 건 없을까요?
By chance, is there not one that's a little lighter? Notice how the customer asks 없을까요 instead of 있을까요. It's also common to use negative verbs and verb endings when asking questions in order to make the question sound a bit less direct. Instead of asking, is there one that's a little lighter? This sounds like asking, isn't there one that's a little lighter?
이건 그래픽 카드는 없지만 훨씬 가벼운 제품이에요.
This one doesn't have a graphics card, but it's a much lighter product. 훨씬 is an adverb that's used with descriptive verbs to mean much more or far more.
게임을 하기는 힘들겠지만 일반적인 문서 작성이나 영상을 시청하시기에는 무리가 없을 거예요.
It will be hard to play games, but it'll be no problem writing documents or watching movies. Note that the verb 하다 means to play with games. not the verb 놀다, which just means to hang out or to play in general. 일반적인 comes from 일반적 and 이다, meaning to be. Many words that end with 적 can be used as descriptive verbs like this by simply attaching and conjugating the verb 이다. Attaching 이나 after a word gives it the meaning of or something. This is only used when the speaker does not have any preference. Here, 문서 작성이나 means or writing documents or something else or nothing. When the speaker has a preference, instead use 아니면 to mean or. 무리가 없다 uses the word 무리, which means too much or a problem, together with 없다, meaning that there is not too much or that something is not a problem. Here it's used after 시청하기, meaning watching, with the particle 에. Literally, this means there is not a problem in watching.
진짜 가볍네요. 어차피 게임은 안 해서 그래픽 카드는 없어도 괜찮을 것 같아요.
It's really light. Anyway, I don't play games, so I think it'll be okay even if there's no graphics card.
네, 휴대성을 생각하면 이게 가장 좋을 것 같아요. 그럼 이걸로 구매하시겠어요?
Yes, if you think of portability, I think this is the best. Then will you purchase this one? 휴대성 uses 휴대, meaning portable, with the word ending 성, which means the property or nature of the word it comes after. Often this translates naturally as ity or ness or ants, depending on the word. Here, 휴대성 is the property or nature of being portable, so the portability. Just like 걸로 is a shortened version of 것으로 used in speech, 이걸로 is simply shortened from 이것으로. 으시겠어요 is a common way to politely ask someone if they're going to do something.
색상은 이거 하나인가요?
Is the color this one? Here, the customer is asking if there are any other colors by asking if the laptop that they're considering buying is the color of this laptop on display by using the word 하나, meaning one.
색상은 흰색, 검정색, 회색은 같은 가격이고요. 하늘색과 초록색은 가격이 살짝 높아요.
For the colors, white, black, gray are the same price. And for sky blue and green, the price is slightly higher. Note that 검정색 is considered to be a non-standard version of 검은색, meaning black. However, 검정색 is commonly used, so you should know both words.
그럼 하늘색으로 지금 볼 수 있을까요?
Then could I see the sky blue now? 볼 수 있을까요 uses the 가요 ending, which here is used to mean could or would. This changes the meaning from can I see, 볼 수 있어요, to could I see.
네, 잠시만 기다려주세요.
Yes, please wait a moment. 잠시만 is a polite adverb and is commonly used together with the verb 기다리다, meaning to wait.
네. 아, 혹시 마우스도 하늘색 있을까요?
Okay, by chance for the mouse too, could there be sky blue? Again, 있을까요 here uses the 가요 ending, which is used to mean could or would. Instead of saying is there, 있어요, this is could or would there be?
하늘색 마우스도 있어요. 같이 준비해 드릴게요.
There is also a sky blue mouse. I'll prepare them together for you. 드리다 is the humble version of the verb 주다, meaning to give, and shows extra respect when giving something to someone else. Here, the store owner is giving the action of preparing everything to the customer. Remember when using 주다 or 드리다 with an action verb to use its conjugated form. For example, 하다 becomes 해주다 or 해드리다. Here, 드릴게요 uses the 게요 ending, which is used after an action verb stem by adding 을 or lir to mean that the speaker decides or promises to do something. So this is like saying, I decided I will do, or I promise to do, or more naturally just, I will do. For example, 하다 becomes 할게요, and 먹다 becomes 먹을게요. Note that the form 게요 is always pronounced as 게요.
네.
Okay. Now that we've gone over everything, let's listen to the full conversation one more time completely and try to follow along using everything that we've learned.
어서 오세요.
안녕하세요. 노트북 사려고 하는데요.
네, 노트북이요. 특별히 생각해둔 모델 있으세요?
생각해둔 모델은 없는데 들고 다니면서 쓸 거라서 가벼운 걸로 생각하고 있어요.
그러면 무게가 가장 중요한 건가요?
아니요, 무게도 중요한데 성능도 좋았으면 좋겠어요.
성능이면 주로 어떤 작업을 하시는데요?
특별히 작업하는 건 따로 없는데요. 컴퓨터가 너무 느린 건 싫어서요.
아, 그럼 이건 어떠세요? 작년에 나온 모델인데 무게도 가벼운 편이고 성능도 괜찮아요.
혹시 조금 더 가벼운 건 없을까요?
이건 그래픽카드는 없지만 훨씬 가벼운 제품이에요. 게임을 하기는 힘들겠지만 일반적인 문서 작성이나 영상을 시청하시기에는 무리가 없을 거예요.
진짜 가볍네요. 어차피 게임은 안 해서 그래픽카드는 없어도 괜찮을 것 같아요.
네, 휴대성을 생각하면 이게 가장 좋을 것 같아요. 그럼 이걸로 구매하시겠어요?
색상은 이거 하나인가요?
색상은 흰색, 검정색, 회색은 같은 가격이고요. 하늘색과 초록색은 가격이 살짝 높아요.
그럼 하늘색으로 지금 볼 수 있을까요?
네, 잠시만 기다려주세요.
네. 아, 혹시 마우스도 하늘색이 있을까요?
하늘색 마우스도 있어요. 같이 준비해드릴게요.
네.
And that's all for this lesson. Remember that natural Korean conversations can range in difficulty from beginner level all the way to advanced. So take your time, practice everything in this lesson, and rewatch it if you need to. And I'll see you again in the next lesson. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.